I was kind of just going through the motions and not really applying myself 100%, just because nobody really told me what I needed to do. And I think that's quite a common trend within the legal industry at the moment. Everyone just kind of does the things that they think they need to do, but without really thinking about the bigger picture.
Welcome to the Student Lawyer podcast series. My name's Camilla and I'm an LPC student at the University of Law and future trainee solicitor. In this episode, I'm delighted to be joined by Megan Hulme, trainee solicitor at a top 40 law firm and founder of Its All Hearsay, a platform created to provide help and guidance to aspiring lawyers. In this episode, Megan and I will be discussing all things social mobility and why it's so important in the legal profession. So without further ado, let's welcome Megan onto the show. Welcome, Megan. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me to be on.
Well, it's great to have you on. So yeah, let's get straight into the questions because I've got a lot for you today. So maybe it would be good if we could kick off the episode with you explaining a little bit about your education and career background.
Yeah, of course. So hi, I'm Megan. I am a second seat trainee at an international law firm in London. I am currently sitting in the real estate department and my last seat was in litigation. Prior to this, I studied at the University of Lincoln, which is a NonRussell group university. And I then went on to do my LPC and LLM full-time while working part-time at a private client firm in London. And then I went on to be a paralegal at a city firm in London, and that's where I secured my training contract.
Brilliant. And can you tell us a bit more about It's All Hearsay and what inspired you to start that platform?
Yeah, so It's All Hearsay is a platform that was created to offer help and guidance to all aspiring lawyers. My journey to becoming a trainee solicitor was hard. I constantly felt like I was alone and there was no information out there. So I truly believe that's kind of why I spent 4 years applying for a training contract, because I didn't really reach out for help. I didn't ask for any information, and I just wasted so much time and effort. So I wanted to make sure that nobody ever felt the way that I did. And I believe that there's certainly an art to getting this journey right. And while mistakes and setbacks are definitely unavoidable, I want to be a person that will help others to not give up. I want to provide them with resources, tips and tricks and things to help them get there with a less few hiccups than what I did. So yeah, we offer tips, tricks, fun reels, interview guides, templates, CV review, and anything else that you need to help you in your journey to becoming a solicitor or a lawyer.
Great. I think It's All Hearsay is a brilliant platform. I'm a big fan. Even though I'm not applying at the moment, I still it's really entertaining and informative, which is the best mix. So what I'll do for the listeners is leave details for It's All Hearsay in the comment box, description box even, of the podcast. So Megan, you've mentioned briefly that your journey wasn't easy and it took you a few years. So I wondered if you could maybe go into a bit more detail about what your journey was like to securing a training contract.
Yeah, I didn't really start off in the best way. I didn't make use of all of the things that were available to me quite early on. I was kind of just going through the motions and not really applying myself 100%, just because nobody really told me what I needed to do. And I think that's quite a common trend within the legal industry at the moment. Everyone just kind of does the things that they think they need to do, but without really thinking about the bigger picture or, really giving it 100%. So I was applying to a variety of firms and I really wasn't drilling down into the specific criteria that I needed in order to present the best applications. So I was just doing things half-heartedly. So there's that, and also being a socially mobile student, I had to fund my own way, and I really had to make myself sort of known within the legal industry or job searching or anything like that. So yeah, there was definitely lots of barriers to getting there, but I mean, it all paid off in the end. So I'm very glad that I can sit here today and sort of share my experiences of it.
Well, congratulations on securing your training contract and starting as a trainee. So how do you think that going to a non-Russell Group university affected your journey into law?
Okay, while I was at university, I felt like it really did affect my journey. I felt like a lot of firms were penalising me because I didn't go to a Russell Group university. Um, but I've since learned that this kind of isn't the case. There, maybe 5, 10 years ago, this would be an issue and it would be a big influencer. But I've learned really that the main barrier to affecting your journey into law is not creating enough opportunities for yourself, or branding yourself in the right way, or developing your networking skills. So it was kind of my own fault and my own kind of small mindedness that I thought that I wasn't getting where I needed to be because of the university I went to. And I really don't think that's the case anymore. Obviously, there's still a long way to go, and there's lots of firms that are still kind of pushing to have Russell Group universities as their trainees. But in order to overcome these kind of barriers, you just need to get involved with as much as you can at university, demonstrate why you've got transferable skills, and really be willing to put yourself outside your comfort zone. So I feel like you are a big fish in a small pond when you go to a non-Russell Group university. So you've got to use that to your advantage and propel yourself into a legal career and demonstrate why you're worthy over other applicants. But yeah, I think it really did affect me at the time, but more mentally than actual physical barriers to my career in law.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I didn't go to Russell Group University, and whilst I did graduate 2012, so a while ago, I feel like, yes, things aren't necessarily put into your lap, but
Yes.
you shouldn't really be relying on things being kind of put into your lap anyway. When you're doing applications to make yourself stand out, you're going to have to go above and beyond. So, finding creative ways to network with firms is something that you can do, I think, regardless of what university you go to. So what do you think were the biggest challenges or barriers that you faced when applying for training contracts, and how did you overcome them?
So neither of my parents went to university. So I was a first gen, and this is something that I struggled with a little bit because my parents are both very ambitious. They're incredibly driven, and they've always pushed me to do things, but they were not very experienced in this area, so it was quite difficult for me to kind of fly the nest in that respect and go out and do these things when I didn't really have a mentor as a parent, in terms of what I need to do at university. So that I felt was a bit of a barrier for me. Another one was the fact that I had to do all of this myself. I had to fund my university fees. I also had to pay for my living costs, which can be very, very extortionate. And it's really inaccessible, I think, for a lot of people from low income backgrounds, but it's not impossible. So that was one thing. And then I think potentially finding legal work experience is another really difficult thing to do. There's lots of ways you can overcome this, and I think changing your mindset again to know that all experience is experience, and it's about the way that you showcase that and how it's representative of your work ethic. And then probably the final barrier is definitely writing the applications, getting it right, making sure that you're putting in the right amount of time and effort and research, but also to get the rewards and the value of doing that, and not just doing it and getting rejection after rejection. So I think that's probably one of the biggest barriers there is in terms of what everybody faces.
Yeah, I think those are all really great points. And you mentioned finding legal work experience, and that's something that we are going to talk about in later episodes. So listeners or watchers, if you're watching this on YouTube, there will be a part 2 to this interview where Megan will be talking about her experiences finding legal work experience. So watch out for that. Okay, so there's also a big push from law firms at the moment in relation to social mobility because of the benefits of recruiting talent from a wider pool of applicants. Why do you think that social mobility is important to law firms? And do you think things are actually changing, or do you think that the industry is just paying lip service to social mobility?
I think there is an element of lip service for sure. Some firms are much more genuinely committed to it than others. But it is a fantastic thing to promote, and I do think that law firms are genuinely recognizing this. So it builds better teams. The more diverse the team, the more genuine and better the ideas are. Socially mobile students tend to, or those from disadvantaged backgrounds, tend to be more relatable to clients and have more people skills. So that's something that they should really build on. And they also tend to be a bit more ambitious and driven because they've had to overcome barriers to get where they are. So I do genuinely believe things are changing. I'm part of the social mobility network at my firm, and I'm definitely committed to pushing things from the inside out. I know a lot of my trainee and newly qualified friends are also doing the same. So, you know, there's definitely change coming. Lots of firms are now partnering with organisations like Aspiring Solicitors and Pathways to Law. There's firms that mentor students through the Social Mobility Foundation. And so, yeah, there's definitely things that firms are starting to implement. So I think it is lip service, but there are a few firms out there that are really driving it forwards.
Definitely. I do think that some seem more dedicated than others. And yeah, like you said, it is really good to see. And especially for me graduating such a long time ago, I don't remember seeing anything like diversity
No.
teams. I'm sure they were out there. I just wasn't probably that good at looking back then. But yeah, it's really good to see. So what about universities? Do you think that they need to do more to help improve social mobility?
Absolutely. I think one of the main reasons non-Russell Group University students struggle is because of the career services team. A lot of the time firms are partnering with universities, or they don't, or they're implementing campus ambassadors onto the site. So when it comes to non-Russell Group universities, there's less of a push in this area, and I think lots of information barriers form. So yeah, I think they definitely need to do more to overcome this, and I do think it comes from the career service itself. I think universities already offer a lot of free opportunities, and it is down to the students to take advantage of that. And a lot of the time, universities are happy for you to set up your own networks or societies or committees. So if there is a gap, then there is the opportunity to fill it. And I think that's something really students should be focusing on when they're at university. Having said that, again, the living costs, the university fees are still very disproportionate. So it does make it very difficult. And I think this is something that universities need to overcome. And I think they will start to overcome it, especially when the SQE comes in, because a lot of people are going to start going down the apprenticeship route. And I think that's going to really make them think about what they need to do.
Yeah, that's really interesting actually. Yeah, the apprenticeship route does seem like it would be a definitely more attractive pathway, and it does seem like a lot more firms are getting on board with that at the moment.
Yeah.
And so what advice would you give to someone who wants to pursue a career in law but thinks that they won't be able to because maybe they're from a socially mobile background, or they don't have straight A's, and or they haven't attended a Russell Group university?
Just don't give up. I mean, be yourself. It sounds, you know, all blasé to be able to say things like that, but being yourself is a fantastic tool. Uh, Nothing defines your career path other than hard work. So if you feel like that you haven't represented your academics very well, then make up for it in other areas. I don't think it really does make much of a difference, especially now. So, you know, things that need to happen is spreading awareness of this and making sure that you pick your own career path and not letting your background define you in any way. Once you're within the workspace, nothing is ever said about grades, background, struggles, performance, talent. You are judged on being who you are in that moment. So I think just concentrating on that and making sure that you're filling gaps and taking part in everything that you can will set you up perfectly for a career in law, and it really shouldn't be down to your grades or which university you went to.
Very well said. I completely agree with all of that, and I think it's brilliant advice, and hopefully will inspire any of our watchers and listeners who might relate. And just finally, before we let you go with this episode, congratulations on achieving a first class law degree at university. What are your top tips for getting a first in LLB? Because it's not easy.
You know what? It's so funny you say that, because I forget that I actually achieved the first class. I've almost blocked it away in a trauma
Right. Yeah.
way, because it was really tough.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that I did it, and it was a very, very tight finish line. I nearly didn't make it, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I managed to throw myself across the finish line. But yeah, in terms of revising and being able to get a first class, it is a memory test. I mean, a lot of the time now it's open books, or less so, but write to-do lists and stick to them. Read only what is required, and with having said that, what is required is what is important, you know, things that are really going to help you understand the module, the topic, and making sure that you're reading the right things, you know, not going above and beyond. You need to work hard and not smart. No, work smart and not hard. No. Work smart, not hard.
Yeah,
There we go.
that is the right way of saying it. But when you do it again, you think, huh, is that right?
Find the way, you know, find ways to revise that work for you.
Yeah.
Writing out case summaries, key law, any kind of legislation on flashcards early is really helpful in doing this. My secret tip is record yourself reading your notes, and then listen to those recordings whenever you can, when you're cooking dinner, when you're walking, going to the gym, in the car, literally at any opportunity that you can. And this will enable you to have more free time to do the social things and help yourself be sort of mentally healthy as well at the same time.
That's a really good piece of advice. I've not heard that before, recording yourself, but that's really good. Thank you for sharing.
Secret weapon.
Yeah.
No problem.
Well, Megan, that's the end of my questions. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Student Lawyer podcast and coming on to talk about social mobility and why it's so important. As I mentioned earlier in the episode, we will be releasing further episodes with Megan, where we're going to be talking about working as a paralegal in the city, and also the importance of mentoring. So do watch out for those. And until next time, goodbye.
Thanks.